Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. We are diving into a topic today that is just shrouded in so much mystery and myth.
Absolutely.
And we are talking about cholesterol.
Cholesterol, yes.
And to help us with this deep dive, we are using The Great Cholesterol Myth by Jonny Bowden and Sinatra. And this book is fascinating. It really does throw everything we thought we knew about cholesterol up in the air.
It really does.
Yeah, so get ready to be challenged, because we're going to discover whether or not cholesterol is public enemy number one.
Right.
Or if it's been framed for a crime it didn't commit.
Yeah, it's like we've all been taught that HDL is the good guy and LDL is the bad guy.
Right.
But you know what? This book is saying it's not that simple.
Okay.
It's like you're trying to solve a crime and you're only looking at two suspects when there's a whole lineup of potential culprits.
Okay, so it's not as black and white as we've been led to believe. But why does that matter for our health? Why should I care?
Because if doctors are only looking at those two broad categories, right, HDL and LDL, they might be missing crucial information.
You know, this book reveals that there are actually over 13 different types of cholesterol.
Oh, wow.
Right. So some of those LDLs, especially the small, dense ones, can be real troublemakers. But here's the thing. The low-fat diets that we're often told to follow might actually be making those bad LDLs even worse.
Oh, so cutting all fat might not be the hero we thought it was. I mean, that's a twist I did not see coming. What else does this book reveal about those so-called villains, those LDLs?
Well, one of the most shocking things is that cholesterol is not inherently bad. In fact, it's vital for a bunch of functions in your body.
Oh, really?
It's a master builder.
Yeah.
Helping create everything from vitamin D to hormones to the walls of your cells.
My body needs it, really. My brain.
Your brain needs it.
Yeah.
Your brain is a cholesterol hog. It needs a lot of it to operate at its best.
Yeah.
Get this. Your body makes about 80% of the cholesterol it needs.
Wow.
Your diet only accounts for about 20%. 80% my body is making. So maybe we shouldn't be so quick to just, demonize all cholesterol.
Right.
If it's not the main culprit, what is? What's actually causing heart disease then?
The real villains, according to the Great Cholesterol Myth, are inflammation and oxidation.
Okay.
These are the silent saboteurs that damage your arteries, leading to plaque buildup and eventually heart disease.
Okay. I'm intrigued. How do these saboteurs work? Break it down for me.
Imagine this. Those LDL particles, especially the small, dense ones we talked about, were like packages traveling through your bloodstream.
Okay.
When they get damaged by things like free radicals or toxins, it's like the package gets ripped open and spills its contents everywhere. That's oxidation.
So it's a damaged package. But what does that have to do with my heart?
Well, when those damaged LDL particles spill their contents, it triggers an inflammatory response. Think of it like getting a splinter, right? Your body sends out this army of cells to fight off the invader, causing the area to become red and swollen.
So inflammation is like my body's defense mechanism gone haywire.
Exactly. And when this happens inside your arteries, it's like rust slowly eating away at the metal of your car. Over time, that rust weakens the structure of your car and can lead to some serious problems.
Right.
Similarly, chronic inflammation in your arteries makes them weak and prone to plaque buildup.
And smoking is, I'm guessing, just pouring gasoline on that rust fire.
Yeah. The book says that smoking is a major contributor to oxidation and inflammation, drastically increasing your risk of heart disease. So if you're a smoker, kick the habit. It's one of the best things you can do.
Yeah, some hard-hitting advice there.
Yeah.
I think we've uncovered some pretty crucial clues already. But this book also points to insulin resistance as being another key player in this whole heart disease mystery. Can you shed some light on that?
Insulin resistance is like a ticking time bomb. It can be lurking in your body for a decade before any symptoms of heart disease show up.
A decade.
That's a long time for damage to be done under the radar.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah.
But how does insulin resistance actually contribute to heart disease?
Well, when your cells become resistant to insulin, your body has to pump out more and more of it just to keep your blood sugar levels in check. Those chronically high insulin levels then contribute to both inflammation and the oxidation of those LDL particles.
It's a vicious cycle. High insulin levels fuel the very processes that are damaging our arteries.
It is.
And this could be happening for years without us even knowing it.
Absolutely. That's why the authors are so adamant about getting tested for insulin resistance. They argue that it's a far better predictor of heart disease than cholesterol alone.
So if you are concerned about your heart health, knowing your insulin resistance status is crucial. I've got to ask about the Twinkie paradox.
The Twinkie paradox.
The book mentions this. What is that all about?
The Twinkie paradox refers to this professor who lost weight eating mostly junk food like Twinkies. He proved that you could lose weight on a terrible diet, but it didn't make him any healthier. It's a prime example of how weight loss doesn't always equal health.
Interesting.
You got to look at what's happening inside your body, not just what the scale says.
So it's not just about being skinny. It's about being metabolically healthy.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling sugar plays a big role in that. I know the book really doesn't hold back when it comes to, exposing the sugar industry's influence on how we think about or how we understand heart health.
Absolutely. Yeah, the book really delves into how the sugar industry has historically downplayed the harms of sugar while pointing the finger at fat. Makes you wonder how much of what we've been told about nutrition is based on solid science versus, industry spin.
It's like a real-life conspiracy thriller.
Yeah.
So what is the truth about sugar and its impact on our hearts?
Well, the book specifically calls out fructose, especially from high fructose corn syrup, which is hiding in a ton of processed foods and drinks. When you consume too much fructose, it can overwhelm your liver, leading to a buildup of fat and contributing to insulin resistance and fatty liver disease.
So it's not just that sugar is, quote unquote, empty calories. Certain types of sugar, like fructose, can really wreak havoc on our metabolic health.
Thanks.
It's not just about the quantity of sugar you eat. It's the quality and how your body processes it. Now, this is where things get really interesting because we've been talking about how fat has been so demonized. But this book is challenging that as well, right?
Absolutely. Get ready to have your mind blown.
Okay.
Because the great cholesterol myth takes on the dogma that all saturated fat is bad for you. Turns out, not all fats are created equal. There are good guys in the fat family, too.
Wait.
Yeah.
Beneficial saturated fats. That goes against everything I thought I knew. Tell me more.
The book highlights MCT oil as a good example. It's a type of saturated fat that your body uses quickly for energy.
Okay.
And then there are certain fatty acids in dairy products that can actually improve your heart health markers. It's like finding out the villain's sidekick is secretly working for the good guys all along.
So we need to be more discerning about the types of fat we consume rather than just fearing all fat in general.
Exactly. You got it.
It's all about understanding the nuances.
Exactly. And here's another shocker. Some studies show that replacing saturated fat with carbohydrates can actually worsen heart health markers.
What?
That's like trading one villain for another.
Okay. The more we learn, the more complex this whole cholesterol and heart health puzzle becomes. But that's why we're here.
Right.
To dig deeper.
Yes.
Uncover the truth.
Absolutely.
And speaking of uncovering the truth, are you ready to delve into the statin deception?
Oh, yes. Let's do it.
Because I know a lot of people are curious about statins, and their potential downsides. This book goes into some pretty controversial territory.
It does.
Even shares, personal experiences and research from, experts like Dr. Stephanie Seneff. What's the main concern they raise about statins?
Well, statins work by blocking an enzyme that's crucial for cholesterol production in your body. And while this can lower cholesterol levels, it also affects the production of CoQ10.
CoQ10, what's that?
CoQ10 is like the spark plug for your cells, especially your heart and muscles. It helps them produce energy efficiently.
So if statins lower CoQ10, are they essentially weakening our hearts while trying to protect them?
That's the big question the authors and experts like Dr. Seneff are raising. They argue that while statins are effective at lowering cholesterol, they could have unintended consequences for heart health due to this CoQ10 depletion. It's like fixing a leaky faucet, but accidentally cutting off the main water supply to your house.
Oh, okay, that's a serious concern.
It is.
So for those of you listening who are on statins, this is a crucial question for your doctor. Are they considering the potential impact on your CoQ10 levels and discussing the need for supplementation?
That's right.
Okay, well said. And speaking of informed decisions, this book goes beyond diet and medication to really emphasize a holistic approach to heart health. It's not just about what you eat, but also about managing stress and nurturing your emotional well-being. What's their take on the connection between stress and heart health?
Well, they argue that chronic stress is a major culprit behind inflammation, weight gain, and high blood pressure, all of which are enemies of a healthy heart. It's like stress is the evil puppet master, pulling the strings behind the scenes.
So even if we are eating all the right foods and taking our supplements, stress can still sabotage our efforts.
It's a major factor to consider, yeah. The authors actually suggest incorporating relaxation techniques, mindfulness practices, and even playfulness into your life to combat stress.
I love that they include playfulness. It's a reminder that taking care of our emotional well-being is just as important as watching what we eat. Now, the book tells this fascinating story of Norman Cousins and the power of laughter in healing. Can you tell us about that?
Norman Cousins was a journalist who used laughter therapy to help heal himself from a debilitating illness. His story highlights that incredible mind-body connection and how positive emotions can really impact our physical health. It's like laughter is a secret weapon against disease.
That's truly inspiring. It's a reminder that there's more to health than just pills and procedures. Our thoughts and emotions play a vital role, too.
Absolutely. And the Great Cholesterol Myth emphasizes that this holistic approach encompassing diet, stress management, and emotional well-being is crucial for achieving optimal heart health. It's not just about surviving, it's about thriving.
This has been a truly mind-blowing exploration of the Great Cholesterol Myth so far. We've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to uncover. Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll continue to unravel the complexities of cholesterol and heart health and discover even more fascinating insights from this groundbreaking book.
Looking forward to it.
All right. We'll see you then.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the Great Cholesterol Myth. Before we move on, I just want to remind everyone that we're exploring some, pretty controversial ideas here.
Right.
And it's always best to consult with your healthcare provider before making any major changes to your diet or lifestyle.
Absolutely. Always good to have that disclaimer. Now, before the break, we were talking about how this book goes beyond just saying, eat less fat or eat more veggies.
Right.
It actually dives into specific dietary recommendations. And one that caught my eye was the Mediterranean diet.
The Mediterranean diet, often hailed as a heart-healthy way of eating. But you know what? There's no single official Mediterranean diet, right? It's more like a collection of eating patterns from various cultures around the Mediterranean Sea.
That makes sense. It's a diverse region with a lot of different cuisines. So what is it about these diets that make them so good for your heart?
Well, while there are variations, they all share some key characteristics. Think fresh, whole foods, lots of fruits and vegetables, nuts, olive oil, and fish. But it goes beyond just the food itself. It's about the whole lifestyle.
It's not just about what's on your plate, but how you live your life.
Exactly, yeah. The book talks about how people in these cultures tend to be more physically active. They have close-knit communities. They prioritize relaxation and leisure. It's about savoring life, not rushing through it.
That sounds like a recipe for a happy heart. Now let's talk about sugar. This book is pretty clear about the dangers of too much sugar, especially those sneaky added sugars.
Right. They even suggest that the official recommendations for added sugar are way too high. They argue for a much lower limit, similar to what the American Heart Association recommends.
So it's not just about avoiding dessert. It's about being aware of the sugar that's lurking in all sorts of processed foods.
You got, those hidden sugars? They're like little ninjas.
Yeah.
They sneak into bread, sauces, yogurt, even granola bars that seem healthy at first glance. You have to be a label detective to find them.
It's a sugar jungle out there.
Yeah.
Now, the book also talks about different types of carbohydrates, the good and the bad. Can you break those down for us?
Yeah, think of it like this. Refined carbohydrates are like fast food for your body. They get digested quickly, causing your blood sugar to spike. White bread, sugary cereals, those are the usual suspects.
Right.
On the other hand, complex carbs, like those found in veggies and whole grains, are more like a slow-cooked meal.
Okay.
They digest slowly, providing sustained energy without those crazy blood sugar swings.
So it's not about banishing all carbs. It's about choosing the right ones, the ones that won't send your blood sugar on a roller coaster ride.
Exactly. And the book highlights that those refined carbs are often linked to inflammation and an increased risk of heart disease.
Right.
While complex carbs, especially those high in fiber, can actually be beneficial.
Good carbs versus bad carbs, it's an epic battle.
It is an epic battle.
What about trans fats? I know those are universally considered harmful, but does the book offer any new insights on that?
They definitely reinforce the dangers of trans fats, calling them one of the worst things you can put in your body. Trans fats are like the Frankenstein of the fat world, created through a process called hydrogenation, which turns liquid oils into solid fats.
Right, and I know those are often found in processed foods and fried foods, which, aren't doing us any favors anyway.
Right, they're like the double agents of the food world, masquerading as something harmless but secretly wreaking havoc on your health.
Avoid them like the plague.
Avoid them like the plague.
Got it. Trans fats are out.
Out.
Now, we talked about the good guys in the saturated fat family, but what about unsaturated fats? I know those are generally considered heart healthy, especially the omega-3s.
Yeah, they're big fans of omega-3s, especially the types called EPA and DHA, which are found in fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines.
Right.
They're also in some plant-based sources like flax seeds and walnuts.
And I've heard that omega-3s can help with inflammation, lower triglycerides, and even improve blood pressure. Is that right?
Yeah, they're like the superheroes of the fat world, fighting off inflammation and keeping your heart running smoothly.
So we should all be eating more fatty fish or taking fish oil supplements.
The authors recommend aiming for at least 2 servings of fatty fish per week or considering a quality fish oil supplement. They argue that the modern Western diet tends to be low in omega-3s and high in omega-6s, and that imbalance can actually promote inflammation.
So restoring that balance is key for keeping inflammation in check.
Exactly. Now let's move on to the world of supplements. There are so many out there, it can be overwhelming, but this book highlights a few key players that can really support heart health. One of the superstars is CoQ10, which we talked about earlier in relation to statin drugs.
Right. Statins can deplete your CoQ10 levels, so supplementation is often recommended for people taking those medications.
And even if you're not on statins, CoQ10 can be beneficial as you age because your body's natural production starts to decline. It's like your heart's battery starts to lose its charge, and CoQ10 can help recharge it.
So it's all about keeping those cells energized, especially those hardworking heart cells.
Yes, absolutely.
What other supplements do they recommend?
Magnesium is another MVP. It's often called the relaxation mineral because it helps your muscles relax, including those in your heart and blood vessels.
So magnesium can help lower blood pressure and improve blood flow.
Exactly. It's also involved in energy production and nerve function. It's like a multitasking wizard, keeping your body running smoothly.
Magnesium is a must-have then.
Yes.
What about niacin? I know that's a B vitamin, but I've heard it can be good for heart health too.
Niacin, or vitamin B3, has been shown to improve cholesterol levels, especially by raising HDL, the good cholesterol, and lowering triglycerides.
So it's like a cholesterol balancing act.
You could say that. But it's important to note that niacin can have some side effects, like flushing, so it's best to talk to your doctor before taking high doses.
Always good advice.
Yeah.
Now, the book also mentions some less common supplements like D-ribose and L-carnitine. What's the deal with those?
These are nutrients that play a key role in energy production within your cells. D-ribose is a type of sugar that helps create ATP, which is like the fuel that powers your cells. And L-carnitine helps transport fatty acids into the mitochondria, which are like the powerhouses of your cells when energy is produced.
So they both contribute to keeping those cellular engines running.
Exactly. And the authors suggest that supplementing with these nutrients can support optimal heart function, especially for people with certain heart conditions or those recovering from heart-related events.
This is fascinating stuff. Now, I know we've covered a lot of ground already, but there are still more supplements mentioned in the book that we need to explore.
Yes, we have more heart-healthy allies to uncover.
Stay tuned for part 3 of our deep dive into the great cholesterol myth, where we'll wrap up our exploration of these powerful nutrients and delve deeper into the evidence behind their use. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We are in the final stretch of our exploration of the great cholesterol myth, and let me tell you, this book has been a real eye-opener.
It really has, It's challenged a lot of the conventional wisdom about heart health, and it's given us a fresh perspective on cholesterol and the factors that really matter.
Yeah, and before the break, we were talking about some key supplements that can support heart health. And there's a few more that I wanted to touch on. One that surprised me was vitamin E.
Vitamin E, yeah.
I always thought it was good for you, but there's more to the story, it sounds like.
Right. There are actually different forms of vitamin E, and this book specifically highlights the importance of gamma-tocopherol. Now, while alpha-tocopherol is the type you usually find in most supplements, gamma-tocopherol seems to have, more antioxidant power.
So it's not just about getting enough vitamin E, but getting the right type.
That's it, exactly. And the authors even suggest that high doses of alpha-tocopherol alone without enough gamma-tocopherol might not be beneficial and could even potentially have negative effects.
Wow.
It's like having a superhero team, You need all the members working together for maximum impact.
Makes sense. So when it comes to vitamin E, it's worth doing your research and choosing a supplement that includes both forms.
Absolutely.
Now let's talk about another popular supplement for heart health, fish oil. We touched on this briefly before, but it's worth diving a little deeper. Those omega-3 fatty acids found in fish oil, especially EPA and DHA, they're like the ultimate heart health warriors, right?
Yeah. They help reduce inflammation, lower triglycerides, and even help regulate blood pressure.
Now, I know omega-3s are often recommended for people with heart conditions, but what about for those of us who are generally healthy? Should we be taking fish oil too?
The authors make a compelling case for including fatty fish in your diet or taking those fish oil supplements, even if you don't have any specific heart concerns.
Okay.
They argue that the typical Western diet is often loaded with omega-6 fatty acids, which are found in vegetable oils, but we tend to be lacking in those heart-healthy omega-3s.
That's all about creating a balance between omega-6s and omega-3s.
Exactly, yeah. Too much omega-6 and not enough omega-3 can tip the scales in favor of inflammation. And as we learned, chronic inflammation is a major driver of heart disease.
Okay, fish oil is definitely going on my shopping list. Now, one last supplement I wanted to ask about was glucosamine. I always thought of that as a joint health supplement. But this book suggests it might have heart health benefits as well.
Yeah, that's right. Studies have shown a link between glucosamine intake and a reduced risk of heart disease. The authors think this might be due to glucosamine's anti-inflammatory properties. Remember, fighting inflammation is like fighting crime in the body. You need all the good guys you can get.
It seems like everything comes back to inflammation when it comes to heart health.
It really does.
It's the root of so many problems.
It is. Addressing that chronic inflammation throughout your body is key for preventing and managing heart disease. And it seems like glucosamine might have a supporting role in that fight.
This has been an incredible journey through the great cholesterol myth. We've challenged conventional thinking, explored new ideas, and hopefully armed you with the knowledge to take control of your own heart health.
Absolutely.
Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
This is just a starting point. The book has so much information, so we encourage you to dive in and continue exploring this important topic for yourself.
Yeah, and as always, consult with your healthcare provider before making any significant changes to your diet, your lifestyle, or your supplement regimen. They can help you personalize your approach and ensure you're making the choices that are right for you. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed it.
It's been a pleasure.
And remember, stay curious, stay informed, and keep on learning. We'll see you next time for another fascinating deep dive.